third question, Daniel, and because your questions were so good, you got the question of the week, and you're right up there near the top of the program. You ask, how do you teach effort? A lot of kids I coach have the skills, but trying to get them to push themselves and be better is harder than I thought. They really rely heavily on their talent, but I keep telling them that only gets them so far. And then you say, cheers, mate. Thanks for your podcast. I really enjoy it, and it's helped me heaps. Thank you, sir. How do you teach effort? That's a psychology thing. So it's a coach psychology thing. And I think a lot of that is led by the people around that player. In some places, it can be seen as not cool to try. That was a problem I first encountered when I arrived at Ipswich State High School. It wasn't cool to have a go. I guess, how did I turn that attitude around at the time? Set mini goals, I think, is probably my best advice. So, because you've not really gone specific in your descriptions of effort for what, we're just going to use an example from the gym. You watch a player in the gym and he does 5 press-ups, 5 push-ups. But after the 5th, you can clearly see he's got some energy. Or she's got some energy. Forgive me if I don't always get the genders in. You can talk to that player and say, try 8 now. And then when they easily do 8, try 10. You can incrementally increase things for that player. And then you get them to be comfortable being uncomfortable. So quite often when a player gets a knock, particularly kids because they don't know their own bodies, they will tend to panic about the injury and yell out or cry because they're worried about what the pain is going to be. Whereas if you just get them to breathe and relax, they can quite often have a more measured response to the pain they are in and the level of pain they are in. So quite often when we have an injury, or particularly with kids, they'll scream as if their leg's fallen off. And then 3 minutes later, they'll be stood up and run around. And that's all about the mind. So teaching effort is about the mind and about pushing yourself somewhere and the rewards that you get for that. Because if there's no effort, it's probably because they don't want to get uncomfortable. And they might be getting enough reward by doing what they're doing. So what's the point of pushing? Right back to me, Daniel, if you need any more on that. Admin at rugbyleaguecoach.com.au or at Rugby League Coach on socials, Facebook or Instagram, the preference. There's a free upgrade offer for all of you if you listen to this pod. If you go to rugbyleaguecoach.com.au and you want the online resources of the biggest online rugby league resource on the planet, there's a free upgrade offer on a few different things there. So have a look. If you take the yearly option, you get bumped up to lifetime. If you take just the coach option, you get bumped up to lifetime, I think. Also, if you take the lifetime option, you get the courses for free, things like that. So it's the biggest area of rugby league resource for coaches and players anywhere in the rugby league world, and you can get a lot of it for free right now. Welcome to everyone listening through rugbyleague.com, the world's first full-time rugby league radio station. I did try and catch up with Steve Mascord in Sydney, the grand poobah of that radio station, and because he's in Australia at the minute, I did miss him down in Sydney because we're both travelling around, but hoping to catch him north of the border soon because he's off travelling everywhere around as he always does. And in terms of being off, it's off season for all us coaches right now. It'd be interesting to see this podcast if numbers drop or continue to improve, because they've been continuing to improve week in, week out. But I can't stress enough, this is the golden time for coaches to get better. If you keep doing what you have always done, you will always get the same result. And we're going to get better this summer in Australia, this winter in the UK. 2025 is going to be your year, because we're going to use this podcast as an inspiration, hopefully, to study and reflect on the coaching throughout the summer so that you come back better next year. And of course, I have a business in this game, and I've got my online resources, I've got my mentor programs, I've got my YouTube channel, Rugby League Coach, all that stuff. A lot of that stuff can be accessed for free, as this podcast can be. But this podcast, I want this to be the fulcrum. I want this to be what all those things work around. And if you can't afford to invest money in your coaching, at least invest some time. And let's share this podcast with as many coaches and players as we can, because right now is the time to study and reflect.